Okay. They in danger of making the world that way. And you just gonna report every shooting.
Always told white people find out that they are grouped in with us and we are all being robbed equally the same.
My Dunkin' Donut open.
They might tear this motherfucker up. So, I extended support in the places I was told. The widow wanted me to do specific people and to do things in a specific way in the name of righteousness. So, not one single person has come after the light has been shined. Not one single person has come to sit and have a conversation in light of the overwhelming evidence as to what has been presented. Not one person. One person who is indisposed at the moment acknowledged with a pledge of tribute, acknowledged the presence of myself. But due to current circumstances, the reason that person is incapacitated is because he was not the person that I was supposed to go to first in order to clean this mess that was made in Babylon, in order to clean it up. So, I was told, if you know how to read the signs, and if you know the times according to the signs you read, then you would also know the agenda. Now, that speech was called Time Dictates the Agenda. Okay, now here's the time frame according to the signs as they lay on this day that I'm recording this. The signs tell me now, being that I have done everything that I was supposed to do, because the prophecy said I was going to have every door shut in my face when I go to my own. And it also say when he came to his own, they received him not. So now we are at the part where that's all.
The reason why I love to clean the Bible.
Ads have a funny way of coming in right when the nigga, you know what I'm saying?
In the Wisdom of Solomon, it says that they would try his patience to determine if he would be a patient ruler. They tried my patience. I'm still patient. Not irate. Tired of smelling baby blood in the air. But I can tolerate it as long as y'all like y'all children being used for food. I can tolerate it no matter how bad I don't like it. Because sooner or later, we're going to understand that children are not for food and they're not for sex toys. We're going to understand that sooner or later. We'll also understand that as long as we don't do our part, that we cannot be counted among the righteous and not do our part. I've been doing my part for 50 years, or else I wouldn't be making this video. I'm 50 years old. So I was initiated in Chicago by my mother's godmother into the Badoo. And she called my Lord, which in the African culture, the Loa is your ancestral spirit that comes through the family, and certain children are able to fully embody that ancestral spirit. It's called a Loa. Well, we have a family that we call Orisha, and this is where it all stems from. The widow's son's story for white people in America. It's y'all turn to determine how many people will be counted among the ranks of the righteous. It's y'all turn now. Because I went to my own and they shut the doors on me. They were supposed to do that according to prophecy, so that I would be forced at this time to address white people and find out if everything was in vain or not, right? Because the whole thing was, if at this point, if white people have not assimilated enough of the blood of the gods to ascend, they will not heed the call. And that would set a stage for a mass extinction of humanity. The whole thing was the cleanup from what was done in Babylon. But before the full story can be told, the judgment has to take place. The judgment has to be rendered in a specific manner, in a specific location. The opening of Judgment Day has been announced. This is the Jubilee. Now, my promise to the widow was that I would save as many as would want to be saved and taste the savor of heaven. And that I would find a way out of this system for as many would want to be free. I did my part. Found that it's an illusion fixed in place by ignorance on the behalf of those being deceived. It's based on the Roman maxim of law that says, let he who will be deceived. Now, those were the ones that were the imposters who laid that down. Those were the false gods that you've been worshiping for nearly 6,000 years. Their time is over. They have to surrender their fake God status. And they have to move out of the way of righteousness. We were in Egypt, a high culture, the highest known, even higher in quality than the Sumerian and Babylonian invader who came here. Our empire failed because we allowed them to do some genetics unauthorized from Prime Creator. In other words, they made something they were not supposed to make, and it created what they call the sins of the world. In order for those sins to be forgiven, one of the gods, at that time they called him Jehuti. And he decided that if the widow didn't want mass extinction of humanity again, he would have to fix the genetics so that those who were denied the right to infinite wisdom or higher knowledge, and those who were denied the right to eternal life would be able to receive those things. Now, we are stuck in this three-dimensional mindset that restricts us from being able to realize that when the ascension moves from the third dimension fixed position to the fifth dimension, we will not be trapped by the bondage of time and space. There will be a new heaven and a new earth. A whole new reality is one vibratory rate up from where we are. Now, if
Stitch Fix. It's time to get pieces that fit you.
want to understand the story of the widow's son, there are many, many videos and books about it where you will understand the legend of the widow's son. But the widow's son is an accidental, which means it was made for the Western world. It was an accidental rewrite of what we call in the Kemetic culture the Assyrian resurrection. The false gods, the ones who told you in your Old Testament that they create good and evil, those false gods had the world deceived while the genetic spill was being cleaned up. And until the genetic spill was clean, you would not see the widow's son raised. Now, the biblical story of the Temple of Jerusalem had to be built before the Son of Man could return. They are looking for a physical brick and mortar structure to be built in the Middle East. That's not the Temple of Solomon. The Temple of Solomon is the Temple of man. The temple that had to be built was predicated upon a genetic cleanup. It was the Temple of man. This would not allow all of us any more or any less right of ascension. But white people was responsible for giving full reign of terror to get their one drop of blood so that they could earn the right to ascend. The reign of terror comes to an end now. They are no longer the highest authority on earth. The crown prince of heaven and earth is the widow's son. The widow is the queen of heaven and earth. And this was all based on the war of the gods. The war in heaven spilled onto earth. It was never supposed to land on earth. Earth was supposed to have been off limits as a soul training simulator. But one of them came in peaceful manner and was allowed to enter the earth realm unobstructed because of his peaceful nature and disposition. And the queen did not think something was right. So she had came and pulled me from a different dimension in another multi-dimensional form. I am an undefeated general of a vast troop of beings that do not lose. And she asked me if I would come and protect her daughters from Baba, never knowing that this Baba was a relative of those invaders, but he paraded as a spirit of the earth and a protector of the cedar forest. This with protecting the daughters from Baba, a group of invaders came and I'm not going to get into too much of that right now because that's not the purpose of this. But the war that took place, we have fought on this planet through millions. What they tell you was the extinction of the dinosaurs was a nuclear winter. None of this stuff is new. As the Proverbs say, there's nothing new under the sun. Because this is all cyclic. Because it's a simulator. It runs in a cycle that's predictable. Once you understand that, you can step outside of the cycle and its unpredictable nature and see the full spectrum of a timeline. Being able to do that, I can tell you the who, what, when, where, and how this devil has taken power. I can tell you the methodology that we have to use under the code of righteousness to reclaim power with the least amount of disruption to our daily lives. If the people that I'm speaking to now, which is white America, can understand this, we can begin to learn how to live like humans again. Because these false gods enforced a law that compelled us to behave savagely and separately as reptiles. In other words, they put restrictions on us mentally that allowed us to primarily draw from what scientists of the brain call your reptilian brain, which is your base, lowest nature, by restricting you through clogging your chakras with a nanobot that vibrates somewhere between third and fourth dimension. This nanobot prevents your spiritual self from connecting with source, which allows them to put you on what they call the silver cord and reharvest you through lifetime after lifetime in cyclic nature in order to use you as a slave and a servant and to keep you trapped in a three-dimensional fixed position reality, which is not the natural state for any being that would ascend and have eternal life. We are not designed to be stuck in three dimensions. The three dimensions it's a simulator for the soul so that we can learn and refine ourselves so that we can become gods in a different domain and a different dominion. We had to learn using the stretches and the pains of time, and they tortured us with something called death, which we did not know before they came. They introduced death by exploding a collider, a particle accelerator, and causing the fourth dimensional beings that were being trained to ascend to be trapped into a third dimensional fixed position reality. And they seal you in using an alchemical formula that closes your higher chakras, especially the love chakra of the heart.
Have you ever stood in a crowded room and just felt so painfully alone? Or I don't know, just stared in a mirror trying to recognize any part of the person staring back at you? It's like from the moment we're born, we're just taught exactly who we're supposed to be, how to love, how to hate, how to fit in, and I'm realizing there was no choice. I've made no choices in my life. I've just been going along with it. And the sad part is that I've been living in this mode for so long that I don't know who I actually am, or what I want, or what makes me happy, or what I want to do with my life. I mean, what am I doing here? Just kidding.
Love chakra of the heart. If you understand Qigong, you can ask Qigong healers around the world about this black goo that they are removing from energy centers. Explain to you that it's a very difficult substance to remove. Prior to the sin, righteousness, love of divine. If you aspire to eternal life, I'm going to tell you what we have to do. You have to find your Knights Templars and tell them that the Crown Prince of the Holy Grail has servants. They know what to do. And history has shown that the Knights Templar has been trustworthy in guarding the blood of the Holy Grail. In France has been issued a warning at Notre Dame because they killed a very important Knights Templar and thought that that would stop the widowed son from his services. When they discovered upon invasion Fort Detroit and being conquered by Chief Pontiac, the chief of the two feathers, the chief who only speaks the truth, is what that means in native culture. He is the chief of two feathers. He's not a full feathered chief because he's only provincial. He only covers a certain area. He is the chief of two feathers who told them you have offended the Lady of the Lakes with your presence in her right hand. So you see, the sun has to rise from the right hand. The right hand is the state of Michigan. Because the mother is Mother Earth. And the sun must rise in accordance with the instruction of Jesus. Because of something called the Orianos or the Syrians. Those are us created and simulated to train souls to attain to high value. And so now what we have is a situation where nobody is understanding how dire this is. The first order of business is that they send delegations to pay homage and to query as to the validity of the rise of
Yeah, that
the
nigga
widowed
mentioned
son.
Detroit and Pontiac.
They know what to do. But there is a certain
what?
network that must be formed
Great
in the
Lakes?
process. Because
Yeah,
at
there's
the
a reason
end,
why you was brought
once
back to
they
Michigan.
came and gave
There's
you
a reason why I
questions
was
and
brought
paid
back to
homage,
Michigan.
this is
Michigan,
going
the right
to
hand,
produce
yeah.
by confirmation
Wow.
something called in science a 100-monkey effect. Because the falling that they call it was 200, but there were 300 in total. 100 remained as guardians of the righteous and the watchers to enforce the punishment for the wickedness that was laid down in Babylon. So
Did you
they
hear him
enforced
mention
this
Detroit and Pontiac?
punishment
No sleep.
on the other 200 fallen
Wow.
who disobeyed those wicked ones. They done nothing but tried to clean.
It's old.
But the orders had to the
Downfall.
whole God system that's above the human system that governs.
Everybody in the comments.
These are all systems of nature, energy, and matter.
Yeah, he kind of
The
predicted it.
energies, as you go up,
I'm like, wow.
become more
I'm like,
fluid
look at him now.
time and
Fucked up.
space. Because time and space does not exist outside of the third dimensional fixed position. These same ones can come into the three dimensions and take physical form. And some of them, their physical form vibrate at a high enough frequency where they can take their whole physical form up to as far as the ninth dimension. Normally they stop at what they call the seventh dimension, which we know in the Islamic culture to be the seventh heaven, where Muhammad went on his night journey as high as the seventh heaven. And so it becomes now open opportunity for white America to fulfill the promise of America and it receiving the grace that it would be promised if it could do endure without bringing ruin to all of humanity until now. America has fallen. This is the rise of the great.
Once again, always, always.
Always.
And we can be on the side of righteousness, and we can move forward in righteousness for righteousness' sake. Or we can do it the way that I prefer. I can take 50 systems and clean it up and start all over. I've done it before. But I promised the widow that I would find out for as many who would want to be free. I found an exit in their law and their judicial systems are frauds. You have been deceived. White people were put in bondage by the bankruptcy of 1933. The process took over 100 years. Laws and systems being created to facilitate the takeover of the entire indigenous people who were here, right? And these indigenous people earned the respect of the world when they allowed 13 colonies to set up, to clean up what was done in Babylon. It has been successfully cleaned up, but just because the spill has been cleaned up, where everybody has a right to a sin does not mean everybody will. Because most people will not accept ascension or heaven as a reality. The whole hell concept has been fed to you sideways and backwards so as to have you in a state of continuous fear. You are controlled like cattle with the element of fear. And as long as you stand in fear, you will not move forward nor progress. And so I'm offering an open opportunity to white America to separate from the hate and the ignorance and the deception and the false gods and all of the things that put restrictions on you becoming your best self, and to take your opportunity to earn your position among the ranks of the righteous. This is not mandatory for anybody. Just know that we all make our own path. Righteousness does not distinguish between your political affiliation, your sexual gender, your skin color. Righteousness is only concerned with how righteous you are. Ascension does not necessarily have anything to do with righteousness, but you have to be righteous to ascend, meaning that somebody who was born to be righteous and who failed in their quest for righteousness can forfeit their right of ascension. And so, we mentioned the Knights Templar and their trustworthiness to execute the rights of the Grail Kings. And they've done this as what you call Via Kings. You never knew that the Via Kings were seafaring Templars. So, and that's why you find Templar and Viking explorations and expeditions in this part of the world long before the investigators they call Christopher Columbus came this way. The European Templars were well aware of the Americans and the people who dwelled here because we did trade between the two for many millennia. And so while we've done that, we were bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages and civilizing an uncivilized people that was no fault of their own. And in doing so, one of our sisters, that they call Helen, Greece, produced a high culture from one single school of education set up on the island of Crete. From there, we produced your Aristotles, your Plato's, your Socrates, all the way up to your philosophers of war and strategy.
Google Fi, a phone plan by Google. With our flexible plan, only pay for the data you use.
Philosophers of war and strategy.
Always.
All the way to your own. Taught by what you call today the Indians and Carthaginians. They were Africans from a different clan that had the high science. They were just Romans. They were under the authority of a different real.
I don't look at him 15,000 times. I don't know fucking lighter and you can turn that off, please. That's annoying.
To make up what they lacked, other than of artistic skills, they decided to take it out of the camera. So they would use combat as a form of political and social development, conquest as their to establish the government system. Statue of Daniel.
Knew I was crazy.
Where was it?
Sitting on it. I was asleep.
It came tumbling down and crashed.
Shit, not funny, man. Tired.
All right. Operation break the deception. I'm here to reveal once and for all the truth. Not just reveal the truth. I am the crown prince of heaven and earth. I will be crowned king of kings and lord of lords. So this is to give the white people their chance to shine under the code of righteousness. Now, we talked about the Templar. To go to the most crucial, the Freemasons, Blue Lodge or Red Lodge, Scottish Rite to your right. We have to go to your ancient nobles of the ancient Arab nobles of the mystic shrine or shrine. We have to go to them as well and give them the opportunity to send somebody to talk.
And what time you gotta get off of? One?
Determine the widow's son is raised. Because I am prepared to tell them in detail the who, what, when, where, and how the widow's son was raised. So it's the white people's turn to join the ranks of the righteous. Now, discretion has been given to the one declared righteous by heaven and earth to move according to his skill of professionalism and leadership. Personally,
Because they canceled production.
I would have been moved, but you're doing it.
Everybody's not gonna be there, but the repair,
so that I can come now
quality and
to get a white people a chance to show they can be righteous under the code of righteousness, what we in ancient Kemet or Egypt call Mat, which is the balancing of the heart against the feather. have you cleansed your transgressions sufficiently enough to be able to ascend, to earn your right to eternal life? Because that's where we go from here. Anything that don't go to eternal life is going to be vaporized.
Dang.
Now, there has been several people already condemned because there was no redemption for them. So, tell them, they turn, they up the back. They can send who they want to send, ask what they want to ask. I'm here. Like somebody want to ask a question. So I'm gonna scroll down just in case you got any questions for me to answer. And we gonna see, because on my page I tagged, show what we call conscious white people. The reason I've been showing conscious white people is because in the process of the resurrection, they had to develop and show that they could develop, after the attainment of the one drop of blood, they can develop a sense of righteousness and still appear to be white.
Crazy though. But
So now, this is why they
sense,
get
though,
they
right?
turn it
Kind of
back.
makes sense, right?
It's that they get to see, white people, y'all get to see, if y'all can step up to the plate. Now, I already know what y'all gonna do, because it's been proven that when it's time to get what y'all got coming, y'all always been front and center. And so, the funny part about it is y'all didn't catch the deception, because it was in plain sight the whole time. The same as black people didn't catch the deception. And it's been in plain sight. It's just that told the story in the manner that oppresses you the most. In other words, they told you the story at an angle. Now you're looking at the same story as it happened, but they tell it to you, then they tell you to view it like this.
It's the Miss Marvel,
We
dude.
won.
The reason you
Therefore, you
wanted
should
to
do
watch
what I
Miss
tell
Marvel, Captain Marvel, and now you
Took the
listen
liberty
to
of
this.
washing your sex toy.
You say what?
There's a reason you wanted to watch Captain Marvel, and now you listen to this.
Won. Therefore, you should do what I tell you to. You never investigated what happened to determine who won the war. So they told you that the North and the South was fighting for the liberation of Africans and bondage. It was absolutely a crock of crap. The North and the South was fighting about money, because the North was still under the control of the crown,
Yep.
under King George III. And the North did not want the independent nation states that were promised to 13 colonies to flourish. So they wanted to stomp them out because the king felt humiliated. And so they used deception. They is given the same formula that Rome has used over the millennium. If you follow the history, it becomes self-explanatory. Rome has been given the same thing over and over. They did it with the Huns. They did it with those in every area they conquered. Then, now watch how Rome tricked all of y'all. They told you the Holy Roman Empire failed. But still, you are under the control of the Vatican.
Yeah.
I have to kick the Pope out. He already knows. He's already told you who he was, and if y'all don't adhere to my word, what he was going to do. Now, he's telling y'all the mark of the beast is the implementation of the Sunday Sabbath. That's not the mark of the beast. That is deception. He's telling you that to identify himself as a beast, he has to go. The mark of the beast is money. You cannot buy nor sell without money. It's the only thing you cannot buy or sell without is money. Whether it's in card form or cash form is irrelevant. And this is why they tell you in your biblical New Testament you cannot worship mammon than God. The money is the distracting tool to allow you to become corrupted in your pursuit of wealth, that you neglect your self-responsibility to develop your soul, so that when time comes to ascend, you will have done your due diligence and earned your right to eternal life. They lied to you and they deceived you, the same as they did the black people. Just like they told us that black people have been being oppressed because they are black. This is not true. The oppression of the black people in America that they're calling black people is for a couple of different reasons than we've been told. It's not a superiority complex, as white supremacy is a military doctrine. And it's used to pit a smaller group against a larger group in order to accomplish a political or military end
And
game.
we're the larger
The
group.
political and military end game.
We're the larger group. Period. Period. Because, he kind of, like, in the beginning, the way he spoke kind of annoyed me a little bit.
Good morning. Can I get an extra large dark roast? 4 and 4. And can I get a French vanilla cold brew? The largest you have. Do you have avocado toast? I'll take avocado toast. And what about the omelets with the spinach? I'll take that too. That's it.
Did she say dirty? Oh.
They charge more here though. They charge more here.
Yeah, they do. It's like everybody else is $250, they $276.
That's what I'm saying. They charge more here. I'm like, yo, what's so special about what? Because y'all got more traffic. But they always have more people here though. Always.
Yeah, they got they're fully staffed.
Right. So they like, nigga, we gotta pay these niggas. I don't know what the fuck y'all thought. Finna just pay regular. They like, nigga.
$1 in here for a tip. I don't think they. No, they'll never have no tip. They're gonna get paid. You gave me. Okay. Damn, it smells like they just got through making donuts. That's crazy. That shit woke me up.
I like this one. Thank you.
You like what? Look at you. The birds singing, really?
This motherfucking alarm. Get the fuck up, bitch. You got 50.
Yesterday, and barely any clouds.
Yeah.
That's crazy, huh? And if you look closely at the stars, you can see the stars were out too.
Yeah, the stars out tonight. But look, it started. You can tell it's gonna be blue this morning. Look. Thank you.
She
That's they like, we gotta pay this chick. Add 25 cents to all this shit. Add 25 cents, motherfucker. And what I like about them, because they be open, and then they be open, and that one down the street from us, not the one right next to us, but the one down the street, they be open too. Yeah, put you out. Sure.
I ain't got no wraps though. I gotta buy some. I gotta buy some. I ain't got nothing to roll up, nothing with. I gotta go buy some. Oh, fuck. Oh, my eyes are so heavy. It's almost like, damn, should I take a nap? Like, should I go to sleep? I'm kind of delirious. Because you got that other shit.
Alright, thank you. How did they do? How's their
Alright. It's alright.
that star or whatever the fuck that is?
Yeah, that ain't no star. That's something else. That's something else, buddy. That's too low to be a star. That's that red shit. That Narubu.
Nibiru.
Sirius X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Yeah, but the stars are like out. Another one over there. God damn.
I told you it's clear.
What are we really looking at? Damn, he out early walking. That's crazy.
Probably trying to catch the bus or whatever. I don't know. Nigga said no graveyard shifts. College grants, free meals, free employee meals, open till 10.
Which means you really ain't getting out of there till 11.
Two opposing influences, so that it will always keep us at odds with each other. Oppressed is because we are matriarchal, and the invaders are patriarchal.
Yeah.
So you see in your biblical New Testament that the so-called Christ is saying, Peter, on this rock I build my temple. Well, they don't tell you, but the word Peter in the Greek is pater, which means father. This is why all of these Catholic priests are called father. And they all wear their cassocks, but they are not telling you they are cross-dressing on purpose. Though they have robes like that in the priesthood, theirs was stolen and altered from the nunnery. The new priestesses are the actual heirs to the Catholic Church, the diocese. It is theirs by right of priesthood. I have to kick them out if they are male. In the established Black Madonna, according to the widow,
now you do
Chicago,
realize,
and
when he says like that, I have to be the one to kick them out. Someone hasn't stepped forward, because like Jamal was saying, like everybody that was born after 1950, we were reincarnated as an indigo child. You know, we were indigo children. That means we are the reincarnated souls of our ancestors who were like, you know, on that Telsa shit, you know, when the world was like, you know, full of inventions and all that, you know, we was tapped in, and all the motherfuckers who came here to help the earth do what they gotta do. Like he's saying, that we're all those old souls that came back through to be here for this time that we're experiencing now. Hence why that would make sense why a lot of people, you know, be saying like, you know, you're gonna go through this change, like you're gonna you know, acquire certain abilities, and I mean, like, if that coincides with the fact that we're being kind of reincarnated, or took our, you know, our souls are going to be activated, right? Like a Pokemon, bitch, okay? And then we on some demon time, taking out these demons. Ain't no empathy, ain't no, we feel sorry for our enemies. Like, no, like, them days is done. Like, if y'all ain't figured this shit out, that y'all was fucked up, and y'all can't even humble yourself to be redeemed, to have any sort of redemption. It's like, motherfucker, like, you forcing our card. And what do I always say? Like, we gonna have to lose ourselves to conquer them. And that's that one thing that we are envy, that, you know, we can take on so much. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you know, we done, dude. We done. It's a wrap. And then he, in another video I heard him talk about what I fell asleep to earlier. He was like, that curse that we were up under, he was like that's over with now. It's, you know, that's lifted. That's why he said, that's why you feel a certain sense of, like, not calm. What did he say? Like you know, with your chest poked out. Like, you have a certain sense of confidence. Like, you know, like, yeah, he's like, that curse, like, has been lifted from us. And like, we are now, we have redeemed ourselves. So he was like, you can walk in your resilience and in your, you know, magnificence, and you know what I'm saying? Like, it's time. And I'm like, dude, that was like the last thing I remember hearing when I was going to sleep. Before I would sleep. And I always said, this is one day, this curse is one day is going to become a blessing. Or, well, I didn't say blessing, I always said our go card, past go card. Get out of jail card, nigga. And I've always envisioned it where, you know, as a kid, this is what my ideology was. The aliens was gonna come down and be like checking us by our, you know, melanin, nigga. Like, oh, you good, pass, go ahead. Like how the Germans did. It's like, oh, you Jew, bitch, you get over here in this line. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you ain't Jew, you can get over here in this line. Oh, you a Hebrew? You get over here in this line. You good, nigga. Let me see. Do that paperback skin test? Okay, brown, go over there. I've been saying that since a kid. Like, this one day will be our, you know, it will be, the curse will be lifted. What they used to hold us down, the color of our skin, will be our redemption. I mean, how much more can we take? I mean, we still still here as a resilient people, even after this,
But after this crazy, this craziness.
Yeah, it's like we still here right now. We ain't going nowhere. I got a warrior child that's gonna carry on at the time.
What you saw something?
No, I was just looking at it.
Like what?
No, it sounds good. What happened to that dollar? You took it?
No, I didn't take the dollar.
There was $1 in here. I hope it didn't fly out.
See you later.
Bye. There was $1 in there, nigga. What the fuck you doing?
It is her who will pick the women that will be trained to become the raisers of the 144,000. But she will move when she chooses to move. The wheels have already been put in motion. But I had to get to this point of dissatisfaction so that I would open the door for the white people to show that they have moved into the ranks of the righteous. Police killings. You have to address this. If you are a white person, if you know a white person recently in the last 3 years is shot unarmed by the police, you need to post that stuff immediately because they are using it to try to put us at war. They want us killing each other. They are using the police as agitators of race war. We are beyond that now. There's no room for this divide and conquer mechanism to continue under its current reign of terror.
You love your stuff.
Reign of tyranny. And the police understand because they are selected according to a specific mental defect that will make them more likely to behave in the manner to kill innocent people.
Exactly.
They are running them through psychological screens to make sure they are correctly mentally unstable
Exactly.
to perform their duties as a mentally unstable person. They have to almost look normal enough to pass for normal, but the psychological defect has to be present. It does not matter the race of the officer. There will be some that you would call good officers that don't have the defect. 9.9 out of 10 now, these are veterans that's been around since the 80s, some even since before. And they are not they weren't hired in according to that psychological makeup required to start a race war. White people, here is your homework to know if your government wanted to start a race war. Your homework. I'm going to give you clues by naming specific people that was trained specifically to start a race war. They told you Charles Manson was a serial killer. They lied to you. He killed nobody. Original reports placed Manson nowhere around any murder scene. Original reports say Charles Manson never gave an order to kill anyone. Charles Manson, to the day he died, said he never told anybody to kill anybody at any time. This was a government scheme to remove Charles Manson for revealing the plot to start the race war. How did Charles Manson know that they were trying to start a race war? Charles Manson was trained by a good friend of a Christian minister named Jim Jones, who bought a plot of land in Guyana, South America, and flew a group of black people down there and had them drink some very special Kool-Aid. The same guy that's his best friend trained Charles Manson in mind control techniques and told him that the purpose he was training him in mind control, this took place in San Quentin in 1965. He told him that he was training him in mind control, so he wanted him to go out and get a bunch of upper middle class white girls and boys and train them to go out and start a race war. So he revealed their plot. He didn't stop there because he established a network of information that he had access to. And what else did Charles tell us? Don't let him put fluoride in the water. Fluoride is a mind control drug. Well, they have already labeled this man as insane. So the perception is they told you to ignore what Charles is saying. Look at how we tell you to look at him as a lunatic. And they enforce this by incarcerating him indefinitely and continuously badgering him and calling him insane. He is revealing the scheme. He was the first whistleblower on what we call the New World Order, which was actually a takeover that began under Dwight D. Eisenhower. More research. Dwight Eisenhower gave a speech about the military-industrial complex. Every white person must watch this speech and understand that he is telling you there is a force at play taking your government over. Your president is leaving office in terror, and he's warning you. Now, back to Charles Manson. What else did he warn us about? Stop letting them cut down all the trees. They're trying to smother you to death by destroying the forest. Charles Manson told us this. This sounds like a madman. What else did he tell us about? Helter Skelter. What was Helter Skelter? He said Helter Skelter was when the system breaks down so bad that there's total chaos in the streets from the government and its involvement in trying to start a race war. Now, you can't just have one white dude start a race war like that. You got to have a opponent. If you want to control the outcome, you have to control both sides. It's called Hegelian dialectic. Who did they train as the black guy? His name was Joseph Sinque in 1965. He was in San Quentin being trained by the same mind control specialists to go in and recruit young black males out of the Black Panther Party and the SNCC Party and other organizing groups, and to organize them into a faction to assault white people at every turn. This is what Joseph Sinque's marching orders was. He told it.
My Squarespace site has adapted as my brand has grown.
And suffered the consequences, but not before he laid down a very important tell-all so that black and white people can understand what's taking place in this country. He formed what you call a Symbionese Liberation Army. The Symbionese Liberation Army is based on the principle of a symbiote. Two things that must come together in order to keep each other alive. This was his philosophy. What did he do? They told him to go to the gutter, to the lower class black people, and recruit soldiers. He didn't do that. He went to the upper class white people, kidnapped their children, because he's not going to let you do it to ours. Trained them in paramilitary activities and organized a series of bank robberies. His most notable kidnap victim was a woman they called Tanya. You know her as Patricia Hearst of the Hearst Empire, who was pardoned from Gerald Ford, which she should have been, because he wouldn't have done anything to her had not he felt his people were at a threat. They were threatened with life and limb. So this is the research white people need to do in determining who I am and if what I'm saying is valid. Check out Charles Manson's videos on Facebook or YouTube. Listen to what the man say and disregard the fact that they told you he was a lunatic. The man is clear in what he is saying, and it matches everything we see today with the water, with the trees, the plastic, and the pollutants in the air. He told you about this, but he didn't just start telling you about it when they started recording him in the 80s. Charles Manson has been singing the same thing ever since 65 when he got out of prison in 67, 68. When he got out of prison till the day he died, his story never changed. The people around him who recanted and said that Charles ordered it, stories changed multiple times, at least 2 or 3 each. But Charles' story never changed. And the validity of what Charles said must be verified before you dismiss that man as a lunatic. And you must look at the price that he paid to not drive white people into a race war that would cause all of us the greatest heartache that this nation had ever seen. They've been trying for years. All of these cases must be considered. Also, white people, you have to look at the golden president, JFK. He warned you about the secret societies in his address to the Associated Press, in which he told you at the outset the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. Now, this came on the heels of him discovering MK Ultra and the secrecy of it, as well as the bankers, because he was compelled to sign an Emergency War Powers Act, which when he first signed it, he did believe that it was part of the documents you signed to be president. He didn't know he was signing a country into a... Need to coffee.
Oh, okay, those are mine. Okay.
He warned you about the Jesuits, that Francis, over there is a Jesuit, mind you, were trying to extort him. So JFK gave us a speech to inform his constituents, which is the American people, that he swore to uphold and protect by oath of office. He told you that there should be a separation in church and state, and that we should not allow religious despots to try and twist the arm of those who are free in a liberated society to do the bidding of a religious group. Now, mind you, he was a Catholic in defiance of Jesuit Catholics. Now, I got the whole puzzle. I can put it together in real time. I won't put it together and put it in the presentation. I want to do it in real time so I can show it to you. So white people, alert your secret societies that the widow's son say, it's time to pay tribute, and it's time to acknowledge that the widow's son has returned. The master of masters is here. And I can tell them exactly how I got here and where I came from and what I'm here for. So if you want to be counted amongst the ranks of the righteous, the widow's son, the phoenix, as he and ascend to infinite heights, he must rise from Orion mid. The three Orions, Orion, Lake Orion, Orion Township. And in his rise, he must be met by three leaders, kings, magi, however you want to say it, which in modern times we would call them the three CEOs of Chrysler, Ford, and General Motors, of which, by me attaining the rank of Crown Prince of Heaven and Earth, I just inherited a unknown stakeholder status of prime stakeholder in all three companies. See, if I want to, I can actually merge them, because that's the controlling share that I have, but I can't do that right now because it won't benefit the people. Now, the CEOs have to be compelled to take their tail down there so that we can treat the workers correctly on their upcoming contracts, because they've been deceived, lied to, and all of their hard-earned work has been stolen from them, and they have no idea what is taking place. And to adjust their contracts and begin to get them whole again, when we get down there to get to do that, I will be able to, in real time, I know I got some people, I got resources that will be able to show you how they're stealing the money from the worker by deception. When they get done showing it to you, I'm going to tell them what they have to do for the next 4 years while the union reorganize and get out the traitors. There's a lot of them in there that's just in there to get fat and sit on their behinds. They gotta go. If you're not there to protect the interests of the worker and you're in a union position, you gotta go. I'm here to run your tail out of there. And so the interests of the people this time will be protected from the corporate side, because the corporate side is owned by the Crown Prince of Heaven and Earth. And they're going to do what they are told, or they will not have a job or a life. Because I will snatch all of their pennies using the Internal Revenue Service and the Federal Reserve and every bank, central bank. I will shut them down. They're not going to deny showing up down there to make these people whole after they've been lying to them and deceiving them. They're not going to deny them what's rightfully theirs. So I'm going to make sure they get what they got coming. As the widow's son, all of this belongs to me. And if I say that the people need to be treated correctly, and they need to be justly compensated in all justice and fairness, not because they greedy, because they not. I worked with them. I worked with them 10 years. They don't complain about work. They don't complain about all of the underhanded things the management does that inconveniences and harms the worker, but they will not let the worker do anything remotely similar for them. This is for the workers. And so y'all gonna make them come down there. I don't care if they put it on the news, if they just show up, get them to, I need to know they going. That's all I need to know. When I gotta be there. Because I have to know in advance, at least a couple of days, because there's some more judgments. As I told you, some people are condemned already. There's a judgment to show what they call the wisdom of Solomon that has to take place there as well. So, all of this shows when the white people run them down there because they tired of being lied to and deceived. Somebody is here to stand up for y'all too. I came for my own. They already know I'm gonna break them out these chains. That's why they not moving according to my desire. Now it's y'all turn to see if y'all can fit in this new and upcoming paradigm of righteousness. Fit in there. Get what's yours like we got what's ours. Because ours was to allow y'all to make us suffer while you rule your empire, your Holy Roman Empire. While we served our punishment for what somebody else did in Babylon, and we didn't stop it. We were the ones punished for trying to clean it up, when we should have stopped it in the beginning. So once they understand that the temple of man has been built, therefore, because that temple is constructed, that temple of man that was built.
What do you want?
What a job that I made.
That was built. The widow's son is awaiting those who would be righteous to do what they know they are supposed to do at this time. And from that, I hope it's clear enough. And for those who might be of the school that I'm insane, I got my psych report for y'all. I got that, so when y'all send them, y'all can let them know. I can show them, I got my psych report. They're going to tell them I'm not crazy. I just smoke weed. I'm always going to smoke weed, and I've been smoking it for millennia. Keep on doing it. So, from that standpoint, I think I need to go find me a blunt. Oh, that's part of the prophecy too, but it's under a different school of thought than your church. See, they already know. That's why they legalizing weed everywhere. Because they know I like weed. They keep their alcohol. They keep their spirits. I don't want their spirits, so I'd rather chief a little bit. So don't be upset if you find out that the sons of righteousness like marijuana. It was brought here specifically for the sons of righteousness to you. Where did he come from? He came from the Cannon Star constellation, the Dog Star, at the request of my close comrade, Anupu, called him Animus. And he waiting to carry some new corpses across the sands into the land of the dead. So whoever ready to die, Animus waiting on him. But if you want to ascend into the next rank of righteousness, hey, I'm waiting for you. So you got to choose between me and the black dog. I walk with the black dog daily. Never seen me without the black dog no more. You know, so there's another part of the prophecy about why is that? He wanted to villainize Solomon because he answered why they never told you. Solomon's greatness could not have been tamed if he had any less. Because the women are the givers of power. And every one of them that accepted him as a wife or as his concubine was giving him power to rule because they felt Solomon was righteous. Pay attention to the story of Sheba and it will show you how women selected Solomon. Solomon didn't select the women. When Sheba came to him, he didn't go to her. She came to him to test his wisdom, to see if he could figure out the answer to the riddle. And she figured it out. And they had a son. And I'm not going to touch on that. That's another time. And so, tell your secret society, your brotherhood of the White Temple, which I left the message because Doriel did his part. Tell all of your political prisoners, because people don't believe they got white political prisoners, to make their cases public, make them known. I'm going to get all political prisoners first. And then I'm going to start cleaning out the prison system and standing these men back on their feet and helping them to be a support to their family. But anybody that don't want to participate, they can stay in there. Nobody's obligated to be free. Freedom is not free. You have to want it, desire it, and seize it. It's not free. It's an effort to go with that. So if you can sit around and wait for somebody else to free you, or you can participate with those on the path to freedom and walk the journey together, and you don't have to believe anything they believe. All you have to believe is that one thing: I want my path to heaven. And everybody is walking their path to heaven, I will walk with them in righteousness. Once you establish that in your mind, you won't care if you're Christian, Muslim, Democrat, Republican, if you're 6 feet tall, 4 feet tall, if you're bow-legged, if you're not needed, you won't care. All you care about is attaining the kingdom of heaven. This is the goal. So, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let the white people do their part. And I'm going to see how I show up. See what pop up. But y'all got to make these struggles known. Because white people catching hell silently while black people catching it publicly. Because they don't want nobody to know they're killing all of us. So white people suffer in silence, and they put it on display to steer the wrath of those righteous ones. They're not gonna move. You didn't notice all of those blacks getting shot in the back, but none of the black people like, man, that ain't right. But they ain't doing the nuts. No, they nut up. You know, Watts riots, the 91 riots, Rodney King riots. Because they know I'm here. They know. Now, in order for me to be here, I had to already be successful up there. Now that I've been successful up there, I'm about to set it off down here. This is supposed to be an easy task down here, as above, so below. Because I want favor in heaven. I should have a light path to walk on earth. I shouldn't have to go through these struggles to liberate people after I've done my part. And boy, did I do my part, and y'all don't know the half of it, what I've been through for us to get here. And there's a lot of naysayers. I went through the struggles, and I paid the prices. Everybody has to do their part. In order for righteousness to reign once again, we all have to do our part. Now it's the white people's time to see where they want to shine at. So keep your head up. Don't fall for the race war crap they've been trying to play on us. Show us all that we are worthy. We are all worthy of the kingdom of God. We are all worthy of the kingdom of righteousness. Let that be known. People don't like to acknowledge that they're worthy. You're worthy. You're worthy. I paid the price. All you have to do is accept that you're worthy and do what's right. You don't have to do nothing extra. Just do what's right. Everybody think you got to go and do some extra stuff. It might be extra if you're walking down the street and you see an old lady needs some help to cross the street, but it don't hurt to be kind. Kind of make you feel good inside to extend some common courtesy and love to somebody else. That should make you feel good inside. This is where we at. So as I scroll down to see you all, make sure I don't have any questions answered before I leave. Share this video, white folks, with each other. Y'all discuss this matter because this is y'all time to get out of here. And if you really want to understand what I'm saying, one of y'all might know Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Send it to him. Let him, because he know what's up. Because he did his part. See? He did his part. And that wrestling was for a purpose. This is to keep you from getting thrown to lions at the close of the age to find out if you got valor. Now it's simulated combat that they call professional wrestling, so as not to feed people to lions again. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up right here. I went on longer than I intended to, but that's how I do. So when I feel it, I feel it. When I just speak how I feel. So do what you think is right. And pass it on. I say peace. One love. Path to liberation.
You love your stuff, because your stuff is amazing.
What up, though? What up, though? Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Commute Chronicles. We were listening to Rod Hayes. Yeah, check him out on YouTube. Pretty interesting conversationalist. Have you tapping in, it'll have you asking questions, but that's a good thing. So, yeah, like, share, and subscribe. And please make sure you subscribe to the channel so we can build up the audience and get the message out. This is the Black Hand Side presents Commute Chronicles. Again, check out our Instagram page. Check out our our Facebook page called The Positive Side of Our Blackness, where I have a larger audience. And we appreciate you listening. Thank you. Have a wonderful and a blacknificent day. Peace.